Welcome once again to the WrestleCord News Break. I'm Ryan here. It is May 1st, 2026. We have a pretty slow news day, so let's cover a bit of what happened last night on TNA Impact on AMC. We had Vincent of the Righteous getting defeated by Jeff Hardy with the help of broken Matt Hardy, who Vincent got up on top. He was going to do his variation of Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb. Lights cut out. We have Matt Hardy show up in the ring when the lights come back on, doing his whole delete crazy hair, that like really big luxurious jacket he wears as that broken Matt Hardy gimmick. Lights go out again. Matt doesn't touch Vincent during any of this. Lights go out again. When the lights come back up, Vincent's on the mat. Jeff Hardy's up on the top rope. Hits a Swanton Bomb. Gets the 1, 2, 3. So the return of broken Matt Hardy. Wondering how that's going to figure into the feud between him and the Righteous of Dutch and Vincent. Also on the card, we had some news about Trey Miguel. I'm not sure if this is in storyline, but it was reported that he had a laceration that happened during his match with Mustafa Ali for the international title at Rebellion, and that he is going to be out for an undisclosed amount of time. Speaking of Mustafa Ali, he did his International Title Open Challenge, which was answered by Adam Brooks, who put up a great fight. It was a fun match, but in the end, it was Mustafa Ali with the 450 getting the win and retaining his title. Also on the card, we had the Elegance brand, Mr. Elegant, getting a win over the Hometown Man. Now, I really don't like this Hometown Man gimmick just on his face, but the guy looked like a complete fool in this match. So we have Ash at one point in the match getting up on the apron, putting lipstick on all big, telling Hometown Man she's going to kiss him. She wants a kiss. So she closes her eyes, puckers up. She doesn't get slapped or anything like that. No, instead, Hometown Man shoves a mask in her face. She starts kissing the mask, unaware it's a mask. I'm not sure how you wouldn't. But she finally realizes it's a mask, freaks out, falls off the apron. Nonetheless, this is still enough time that Hometown Man is wasted with this whole gag for Mr. Elegance to get the upper hand, capitalize, hit his finisher, and get the win. I just think, like I said, I think this gimmick is foolish on its face. Fans seem to love it. So there you go. Hometown Man losing to Mr. Elegance. We also had on this card the return to the ring of Allie. Some AEW fans might know her as the Bunny. Some Shimmer fans might know her as Cherry Bomb. That's how I first saw her. She teamed up with Rosemary and Mara Shalday, and they got a win over Tessa Blanchard, Mila Moore, and Victoria Crawford, the former WWE Alicia Fox. And the win came when Allie actually got the pin on Mila Moore using the code breaker. I'm sure Chris Jericho would be proud. And then in the main event of that show, we had... Well, actually, real quick, before we get to the main event, there was a match that was made on this show for the May 14th Impact show, where we're going to have Leon Slater being challenged by Cedric Alexander in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the X Division title. Now, this will be one day before Leon Slater could be considered the longest reigning X Division champion. This was really hyped up when Cedric came out and said he was going to stop him from being the longest reigning X Division champion. So we'll see where they're going to go there. And in the main event of this show that had been announced last week, we have the Walk with Elijah guitar strap match. So this is basically a strap match. It starts out in the back. You have to fight to the ring, and then you have to do the whole touch the floor turnbuckles shtick. So it's Elijah taking on Frankie Kazarian, who did a very bad impression of Elijah, even though it was pretty humorous, last week on Impact. And they start out in the locker room. They fight out to the ring. In the end, Elijah hits all 4 turnbuckles, gets the win. This was actually a pretty rough match. Not in a bad way, but for the competitors in it, it was well fought. I really enjoyed it. Moving on to some other results that came out last night. Ring of Honor on Honor Club. This show was really fun. It had a lot of matches, had a lot of international flair here. We had Japan, Canada, Vietnam, Italy, all represented on this show. Even south of the border, we had Mexico being represented here. So, really fun stuff. The show started out with Konosuke Takeshita getting a big win over Daddy Magic Matt Menard. This was a super fun match. I really enjoyed it, but Daddy Magic really didn't get anything going here. It was all Konosuke the whole time. We'd also have Shane Taylor taking on Mance Warner. This is Mance Warner's Ring of Honor debut, but in the end, it was Shane Taylor with a package pile driver getting a win over Mance Warner. I did thought it was funny that Caprice Coleman at one point called Mance Warner a young Terry Funk, despite the fact the man is like 37 years old. He's in his late 30s here. So I don't know what Caprice Coleman considers young. And we'd also later on have a really weird segment with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni, where it's going to be, Chop It Up with Caprice Coleman segment. But instead, Ian Riccaboni brings in Red Velvet as a surprise. Caprice is like stammering. He's all nervous. He can't talk to Red Velvet. This is just super weird. You're telling me in this company, Red Velvet and Caprice Coleman never interact in the back. This is the first time he's ever been in the sphere of Red Velvet. Super goofy. I hate it. They never even got to any sort of interview. Caprice is just like, oh, I can do it. I can do this. And then they cut away. It was super weird. I don't know. I didn't enjoy this. But also on the card, we had Viva Van getting a win over Sarah Leon, who is Viva Van from Vietnam and Sarah Leon from Italy. So there's some more representation that I talked about at the start of this. It was Viva Van with a straitjacket electric chair that she pinned into a bridge, that she bridged into a pin, rather, for the 1-2-3. We also would have the singles debut in ROH for Story Denali, who got a win over JC Love. And this is very dominant fashion, too. The pinfall came with her just putting one foot on Love's chest, so very dominant here. We also had a great match with Blackheart, Leo Rush doing this crazy Gollum gimmick that he's been working in AEW, getting a win over Alan Angels with a big blue thunder bomb. We also had a Pure Rules match, non-title, but our champion Deonna Purrazzo submitted Remy Reed with a Fujiwara armbar. This was a clean victory, no rope breaks used, no fist used, and in the end, Purrazzo actually held up Remy's arm after the match. So, in tag action, we had Tough Light, Darius and Dante with Christopher Daniels at ringside beat Soleil and Gringo Loco with a, I guess called tandem pedigree, both men holding individual underhooks and then dropping him I believe this was Gringo down in a facebuster, which is funny because then immediately followed this match, we had The Inspiration take on Becca and Madison Max, where at the closing parts of this match, they would both get individual pedigrees on their opponents, and then it was the Idolizer with Casey pinning Becca for the win. We also had more tag action with Paid in Full, Big Bill, and Brian Keith getting a victory over Nick Halen and Vin Parker. I'm unfamiliar with Nick Halen and Vin Parker, so this is my first time getting to see them. We also had Christian XO in another ROH singles debut getting a win over Frankie B with a big scissors kick. And let me just check my notes here because I think we've covered all the matches except for one, our main event, which was TMDK's Mikey Nichols, Shane Haste, and Bad Dude Tito. This guy, Bad Dude Tito, looks like everything WWE wants. The guy is jacked to the gills. He moves around great in the ring. He looked very impressive in this match. But in the end, they would lose out to the Don Callis families, Mark Davis, and Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero. It was Davis hitting that big, vicious pendulum pile driver on Bad Dude Tito for the 1-2-3. And of course, just in 2 weeks, we have Super Card of Honor coming up, which will be headlined by Bandito defending the ROH title against Christian Blake, one half of the Swirl. In some non-results news here, like I said, it's a very slow news week, a very slow news day. So we had Chris Jericho sent out some photos from him on the set of Dexter Resurrection Season 2. It was reported right before Wednesday that he would, in fact, miss Dynamite, and he was in New York for filming. It was unsure as to what he would be filming, and now we know. And then one last bit of news before we go off. The recently released from WWE, Dexter Lumis, went on Instagram. He posted a video. It's Dexter looking into a mirror. We have Indy Hartwell walking up. She's holding a razor blade. She says it's time, starts cutting off Dexter's dreads, shaves his beard, and then we have text appear on the screen, 7/24/26. Not sure exactly what's going to happen in July, but something with Dexter. I'm imagining Indy Hartwell will be involved with that as well. And with all that, folks, it's a really short news break today, and this brings us to the end of it. I'm Ryan here. Once again, you can always check us out on youtube.com/WrestleCord. Our podcast will be coming out hopefully tomorrow night to cover Collision, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow.